Broome here for messages from your loved ones. So we're glad that you're here. The way that this works for this particular show, we rely on you. We rely on you to participate and to put the name of a loved one that you would like a message from in the chat on Facebook. We can see it and we will tune into that energy. And Sue created a beautiful deck of cards that she uses. Do you want to hold those up, Sue, while you're pushing buttons? There we go. And so she tunes into those, and I tune into the other energy, and we just kind of talk about your loved one for a few minutes. So we're glad that you're here. So, Sue, thank you for being here. September already.
I know. Well, thank you for having me this. I love our time together when we do this. So yes, September. It's like, man, oh man.
I know. We have met some fabulous family members and loved ones of our EWN friends and feel like we've gotten to know some of them quite well. So it's really a treat for both of us. So thank you for that. So Sue, you had, while we're waiting for friends, you had something that you wanted to share with us today.
So a story. So this is a friend of mine who recently lost his the woman that he was in a relationship with, his girlfriend. It seems so strange at our age, his girlfriend. Anyway, and I had met her a couple times. They don't live here, but I met them a couple times. And she had cancer, got extremely bad, and passed away. And she had such a very involved family because she was from Korea, Vietnam. I think Vietnam. I might, one of the two, but very strong family ties. And so this friend of mine, he met a woman that was a friend of hers at the funeral, at the gathering. And they got along fine. And it's not like they were dating, but they went out and had coffee a couple of times just to chat. And he had tickets to a concert that he and his girlfriend were going to go to. And he was still going to go, but it would be nice if he could go with someone.
Yeah.
And so he had asked her, and she said, I have to think about this. And she decided that, no, this is your time with her.
Okay.
And it's like, okay. And he was really bummed because now he's going to go by himself. And so the day comes of the concert, and it's like, okay, it's time to get ready. And he said, he was bummed before that, but then all of a sudden he was feeling very upbeat and excited about going to this concert. Went to the concert, and when they checked his ticket on his phone, he said, check both of them. So he did. And he said they played so many of their favorite songs, and he felt that she truly was there with him. And it was actually wonderful that this friend of hers was picking up that, you know what, this is not for those two. This is for him, he and his girlfriend to go share this experience. And he said, so I was really glad that it turned out the way that it did.
Wow. Good for him that he was open to that. That must have felt really healing.
Yeah, I think it did. And so it wasn't him that was telling me the story. It was his mother. I said, oh my gosh, you gotta tell him that is such a beautiful story. And even the other woman to just really honor that. It wasn't that she was rejecting him. It was, she was honoring her friend and his girlfriend. So
Wow.
I knew that was a story I wanted to share today.
That's really sweet. Yeah. Well, I wanted to share a story with you. We don't normally talk about ghosts when we do this show. We normally we talk about life after life, and we talk about, heaven and, the ethereal realm, that kind of thing. But this was interesting. So my family, we just got back from a vacation in Massachusetts, and the home that we stayed in was 230 years old. And so you can imagine a lot has happened in this house over 230 years. And I was the first one to get into the house. And I literally walked in the door and said, "You have got to be kidding." I was, "Really, Michael, this is where you want us to be?" And I was like, "Yep." And it was like, "Okay." And we couldn't have done anything about it at that point anyway. I mean, we're here and there was nothing else available. So I walked through the house, and it's a large home, and 7 bedrooms, which, for the time was crazy. Linda, we will absolutely get with you as soon as we're done with this story. And I came upon the door to the basement, and I thought, okay, I'll play a little bit, right? And it had one of those hook locks
Oh,
on it.
yeah. Mhm.
On the upstairs level, it had the lock. And I thought, well, that's interesting that you'd want to lock something down there to keep it down there. And so I opened the door, and I saw there was a light on downstairs. And I went, okay, nope. So I just closed the door and I hooked the lock, right? I thought, okay, I don't need to do anything with this basement. So I walked from room to room, and this home had one set of stairs from the front door that went up, and it had another set of stairs from the kitchen that went up. The one from the kitchen, there was no railing on the wall. There was a rope on the wall. So, and the stairs were all small and compact, and it was curvy. And one of our friends said, well, that was probably the servants' staircase.
Mhm.
That was weird anyway. But I went upstairs, and the floors were all slanted. I mean, right? I mean, you'd put a marble down and it would absolutely roll down. But this house was so rich with energy and spirits. And what I will typically do is say something like, we're only going to be here 3 days, just ignore us and we'll be out of your hair real soon. But these energies were wanting to be seen and noticed. And I'm not really excited about doing that. Because I can usually feel them, and I just sort of didn't need to do that on this trip. And I also didn't want everybody else freaking out, right? Because you just walk in the house and go, okay, there's something here. And I literally looked up the reviews on the house. Nobody mentioned the house is haunted. Nobody mentioned it. So I thought, okay, you're showing yourself to me because
Because you can see us.
I can feel you. So I went upstairs, checked out all the bedrooms, and there's this one in particular bedroom that just the energy was like, nope, I don't even want to walk in there. Well, that one was right behind mine and shared a closet. And then I went to the different rooms, and each one was like, nope. So I figured out which was going to be my bedroom, went into the closet, and there was this door that went to the scarier bedroom. So I closed it and kind of latched it. And then a little bit later, it was unlatched and was like, yeah. And then my husband and our friend came in, and they were downstairs. And then I heard footsteps in the scary bedroom behind me, knowing nobody was upstairs with us, but I'm hearing footsteps. And one of the nights it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, couldn't sleep. So I'm laying in bed and I'm reading. And the latch on the door becomes unlatched and the door opens. And so I'm looking at the door and it's got one of those hooky locks on it and it's swinging, right? Because the door just opened, so it's swinging. So I'm looking at the door and I went, okay. So I get up, close the door, relatch it, hook the little hooky thing on it this time. And I thought, okay, this is like awkward. Like I don't feel comfortable about trying to go to sleep because this just feels really creepy right now. And then about half an hour later, the latch comes off and the door opens.
Oh.
And I got up and I closed it again. And I thought, this is tricky because spirit doesn't have to go through open doors. Spirit can just go through walls. And so they're trying to get my attention.
They're messing with you.
They are messing with me. This is for my benefit. And so I asked in all the angels, I asked in the Christ consciousness, I flooded the darn house with like earth angels and all this divine light. And I could just feel these other spirits kind of like moving back a little bit. They didn't go anywhere, right? I mean, they had no intention of like moving on to the light kind of thing. And I said, angels, would you please assist? If any of these spirits want to go to the light, would you assist? I didn't sense a thinning of the herd, right? They were still there. And then there were 2 nights, but that was the only time that they were messing with me with that. But there were 2 different times walking through different rooms that it was that bone chilling cold of walking through spirit. It was like, okay, okay. I was so happy to leave that house. I don't know.
Did anybody else pick up on anything?
Yes, yes. My husband walked through one of the cold chills and he like ran and got in bed. It was like I don't want to see it. I don't want to know. And we didn't tell the girls until like we were out. And then we shared with them. But everybody felt stuff. Yeah. It was fascinating. But it was also fascinating. They didn't want to go.
I was just going to say that. What do you think that's about?
I don't know. I had my friend Terry Angel look at the energy in the house, and what she was getting was very unhappy and ill-treated servants. And like if they were going to give birth, they had to go into the basement to give birth. Whereas I was just picturing, the owner of the home in their big bedroom giving birth in their bed or dying in their bed, and the servants got, go downstairs if you're gonna have a baby kind of thing. But so she had picked up on that, really ill-treated servants. So I don't know. But I just thought it fascinating that nobody else had written about spirit in the house. I was like, how can I help y'all? Because obviously you want me to see you.
Right, but then obviously they didn't want any assistance either.
Right.
I don't know. Usually there are some that it's like, oh my gosh, thank goodness somebody can finally see us and help us. But I almost get the feeling that they partially it's twofold. Partially it's like they're afraid to leave because they've been threatened somehow. And the other part and maybe that's some of them, and some of them are like, no, this is our home, and we kind of like messing with people and they don't realize that we're here. Because I bet that there's ways that they that people might not notice them in seeing something, but there might be something like maybe they had a lot of arguments while they were there, or they felt extremely tired while they were there, or stuff was just not working out when cooking, or, just stuff like that.
Yeah. And on my phone, I have this little app called Ghost Detect, which I
Yeah.
don't know that you can get it anymore. But so at times I would do it. And there was one that I got in the bedroom I was staying in. There were like 10 orbs. And those don't ever bug me. Those to me feel pretty high vibration.
Yeah.
One time in the kitchen, there was a very bright splat of white light. That I'm fine with that. However, there were two that, because I felt it. So it's like, okay, let's just see if my phone can actually pick this up. And there were two different times that I took it, and it was like this streak of like brownie bleh. And it was like, yeah, that's not feeling so good.
No. But, and the phone didn't pick up anything else? Did it just see it, or I don't,
Took pictures of it.
okay,
Yeah.
but it didn't give any words? Because I know that some of the apps will give you words too.
Yes, it did have words, but they weren't ones that I went, oh yeah, I get that. It was just like, oh, I don't get that. Yeah, it was interesting. And then one of the nights, a lot of noises in the house, a lot of noises. It's just like, I know y'all are here.
They were having a party.
They were doing something, that's for sure. But it was funny because at one point the kids went out and I had to go pick up other folks at the airport. And it was like, I am not staying in this home alone. So it was nighttime. It was like, "Nah, I'm going to the airport now. I'll just sit there."
That's funny.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so Linda Michelle is with us. Linda would like a message from Mike.
From Mike. Hello, Linda. Let's see. Oh, thought that was it. It is not. Hmm. Come on, Mike. Hmm. You can go first if you want. Let's see. Taking a, I don't know if he's just shy or what.
I got something right away. I don't know if that's this lifetime or if it's another lifetime. I don't know what your relationship was with Mike in this lifetime. But what I got was a younger man looking adoringly at you. And if Mike was a son in this lifetime, then it was another lifetime when you all were together. But it was like two young, I'm going to say like late 20s. Like that's what I'm seeing both of you at about late 20s, and him just adoring you and just so happy just being in your presence. So that's what I'm getting with Mike. I'm not getting like old soul, like been together 20 times. It's not necessarily that because this is looking like young love. So I don't know.
It feels like a very powerful love.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Mike finally appeared in the card. You are enfolded in my love. See, that's so interesting. It's also, you've heard the term that, I think it was in some movie, your love completes me. And I'm not feeling that, but I am feeling that he felt expanded because he loved you so much, but it was like he felt expansion because of the love that he shared with you.
Aw, that's beautiful.
So, wow. And I love this unfolded. That's not a word that I use, but you know, somebody comes and puts like a warm blanket, but just comes and just you feel safe, you feel loved, you feel heard, all of those.
Yeah,
So,
it's like the rest of the world doesn't matter when you're
right. Just washes away.
yes, that's beautiful. So Linda, I would love to know, put it in the comments, who was Mike to you in this lifetime? All right. Sally Francis would love any messages or blessings, but then she said, "What, my father Ken and mother Eileen."
So her father Ken and
Mother Eileen.
I'm feeling one card for both of them. Are you feeling that I need to do two?
No, I think one.
Yeah. So interesting how that happens. See, the love we share is always there. I'm I'm getting the feeling, Miss Sally, that I don't know if you're especially missing them right now, like if there's some family gathering that's going on, but almost like maybe a birthday or an anniversary or something that you might be, and there go the chimes, you might be thinking of them more or noticing signs from them, or people are calling and they're sharing memories, but it feels like there's something that's going on around you or with you, and they want you to know that we are with you. When you think of us, we're thinking of you. When you're feeling love for us, you know, we're doing the same for you. It's like they're only a thought away. And I think Sally, I think you know that, but for some reason it seems like you need to hear it and remember that. So
So Sally, this is an interesting one because I immediately saw a mother and father watching their young daughter and being so proud of her. But I wasn't seeing them interacting with you. I saw them watching you. It makes me wonder if in this lifetime if it wasn't a little more standoffish, like they adored you. No question, they adored you. But did they play with you? Was the connection such that you felt the connection as much as they adored you? And a phrase came to me, which I have long thought for one of my daughters, because she always just felt a little elusive, right? Just a little out of grasp. And the phrase is, "A lifetime is not long enough to love you." And I think that comes in when we don't ever feel like we were really loved, like it was just a little out of our grasp. And that's kind of what it feels to me with your parents. And Sue saying, maybe this is coming up to you for a reason now. And maybe you're not feeling that you were as loved as you wanted to be.
Mhm.
And I'm getting goosebumps saying this. I would say to you, you were loved more than you can ever comprehend. And maybe they just weren't able to show it in a way that you could feel it. But the love was absolutely there for you and still is absolutely there for you.
Mhm.
Any thoughts on that? Oh, Sally said, they were elusive. Totally right. My mother chose the boys. Yes, I agree with you. They were repressed. Yeah.
Were they older when when you were born, Sally? No, because sometimes I think older parents, it's like, I don't know, it's almost like they can't relate because they are so much older.
Yeah. There's so many reasons why one particular child in the family may not feel the connection that the others do.
Mhm.
Sally, I'm sorry that that's how that felt to you, but just know they looked at you with such pride and with such
Mhm.
love. And she said they were born in the 20s. Life was very different. They came from huge families. Yeah. They may not have known how to love,
Yeah.
you know? When you don't get it yourself, it's really hard to know how to give it. So maybe they didn't know how, but we know they felt it.
Yeah. And this, even the card itself feels like, yeah, it's something that we did share. Our love is there. Yeah.
And trust that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because they're still saying that for you. However many, I mean, if they were born in the 20s, they've probably been gone for a while now, and they're still coming to the table and saying how much they love you.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, Sally's really struggling, dealing with sepsis, physical issues, breathing issues. She's a psychic medium too. Yep, she's feeling them all around you. They are around you. Yeah, they are around you. All right. So Linda said, okay. She said, ah, she said she and Mike were so close. Mike was a boyfriend who passed in early 20s, 30-ish years ago. He
Mm.
died in a car accident when I was on the other side of the country. Yes, he absolutely adored the ground I walked on. She's never forgotten him. He's never forgotten you. Always felt he had to tell me something about the night accident. I never realized how much he adored me until after he passed. His spirit was very powerful around me way back then. His spirit is still very powerful around you. And I think in his plans, when you pass, he'd love to be there to help escort you over. I don't think he's done with you if you're interested in being with him. I don't think he's finished with you. So that brings up an interesting thought. So one of my dear friends, God bless her, passed away about a year ago. And um, she had the love of her life that came into her life in her 20s. And they did not marry. They were engaged. Dad said no, because he was out of country. And so she did not marry him, always carried a torch for him. And then later in life married someone else who was the husband that I knew. But she would confide in me and she would ask me because she knew that boy number one had passed over. And she would ask, is he with me? Is he watching over me? Um, does he still love me? So she was definitely carrying the torch. And this was 50 years later, and she's still carrying the torch for boy number one. So as it was getting close to her time of passing, her big concern was, which guy's going to be there for me? Because I really want guy number one to be there for me, but guy number two is going to want me there with him. So it was an interesting conversation.
Mhm.
And my belief is that she probably could have been with both of them in the ethereal realm. I don't think there's any hard and fast rules about you can only be with one person. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think it's whoever we choose to be there because they're in spirit now. And it's not like they're jealous. So it's almost like boy number one was there, and boy number two was there also, but in a different capacity. You know, not the greeting party, but maybe after she got settled in, kind of, so it feels like, yeah, he probably was, but even if he wasn't, there's no hard feelings. And if she wanted to see boy number one, that's who greeted her, or one of the people that greeted her.
Yeah, it's just fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, Linda said, cool, 30 years later for her. It's true. Time passed for you, Linda. Time did not pass for Mike. She said, interesting. I hope everyone we miss and love is there. I do believe that to be the case. I do, Linda. I do. I believe that to be the case. Yeah. All right. So, Sue, question while we're waiting for somebody else to pop on here. Why do you think some souls, when we pass, go to the light, go with the guides, go with whoever, and others don't, seemingly? They stay in our realm and may seem to be somewhat tortured, and others aren't tortured, but they're still here. Why do you think that is?
It feels like partially they're afraid, but it's like the fear was conditioned into them. And I don't know what that means other than what it feels like. So like if if someone hears, I'll just say, a lie every single day and it becomes their belief, that's what it feels like. So, and I don't know who it is that's telling the lie. And I don't know that it's necessarily somebody that's repeating it to them face to face, or if it's this energy that they feel that is feeding them the lie. But that's what it feels like more than, that's the strongest feeling that I'm getting about it.
That the spirit itself is being fed.
Is being manipulated. Because I don't think they have, vengeance or anger.
Hmm.
I think that's kind of done, but I I I think, and sometimes, I mean, it truly is what we believe. So if I believe I'm going to go up to the cloud, just sit there and hang out with God and all the angels, then that, it's my belief. So I think that there's something here that is manipulating. That's the best word that I can hear, that feels true, is manipulation.
Interesting.
What do you think?
I don't know. I wish I knew. I have experienced spirit in so many ways that have passed over, but are yet still sort of there. One time I was at the Alamo on a business trip, and I walked into Barnes and Noble. They had turned the Alamo site into a shopping mall, and I went into Barnes and Noble. And as I walked through it, it was getting colder, 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 like uncomfortably cold. And I said to the person working there, I said, "Boy, your air conditioner is working overtime." And he said, "No, this was a battleground." And I went, "Right, of course." So I don't know. Did all of those souls that I was feeling not pass over? I don't know.
Okay. In that type of situation, it feels like because it was such a trauma
Yeah. And so quick, I think.
and so quick that they many don't even realize it's like what's going on. And I think in a situation like that, I think if somebody did go in there with the intention of, helping many of the souls to pass over, I think many would. I don't know that all of them would,
Yeah.
because even once they're in that state, I think there's somebody that keeps the manipulation going. Like another spirit that keeps the manipulation going.
What might that manipulation look like?
Fear.
Like saying you have to stay here, you can't go, or
This is it. It feels like fear. So you don't know what's on that light. What's if you go toward that light, you don't know what's over there. So it feels like there's some of that, and it doesn't feel like it's like a Satan or devil. It just feels like it's a negative spirit and they feed off the fear.
sort of a lower level energy. That's interesting. Um, Total aside, but in the same vein, one time during meditation, I met Archangel Azrael, and Archangel Azrael is a participant when folks pass over from one realm to the other. But what was weird to me was the energy of Archangel Azrael felt not high and light like the other archangels. And I wasn't sure, like, is this safe? I mean, like, what is this? And I asked Archangel Michael, I was like, is this really? Because I'm hearing this is Archangel Azrael. He helps with, folks transitioning. And I said, but why does this not feel like high vibrational level energy? And the answer was because he works with all souls. And with all souls, you get such a range of energetic frequencies from high to really low. And he works with every man. And so he comes in at like a middle level. It was just kind of fascinating. So for you to be picking up on those energies that are hanging around and not knowing that they can go anywhere and being in a state of fear, that's a pretty middle to low energetic frequency. So it's just kind of interesting to think about.
It,
Sorry.
yeah, no, it is very interesting, and of course we won't know until we're there, but but yeah, well, and I think it does go back to while you are here, come from a vibration of love. If you feel yourself in fear over things, over whatever, it doesn't matter, because it's like either fear or love. So if you are in fear, what is it that you can do to help get to the love? vibration, to the feeling of love, to the feeling of self-love, to the feeling that, even hope, but it feels more like love. And that's one of the things we're here, is to get into that high vibration in what we're feeling and in what we're doing, how we are being.
Yeah. One story that for some reason is coming to my mind, I don't know why, because they're putting it in my mind. I had a client once who walked in to my room and she immediately started crying, which is not usually how people meet me. But so I, just sat in and listened to what was happening. And her son showed up in spirit and sat next to her. And he was saying, he kissed her on the cheek and he said, "Mom, stop crying. I'm okay. I'm okay." Well, he had taken his own life and she couldn't let go of that. And he was here in spirit saying, "I'm good. I'm okay." And it was such a healing thing for her to get that validation from him, that even though at that point in his life when he thought he couldn't go on any longer, he was not doomed to an existence in hell and, all of that. It just wasn't that, which she had been fearing, I think. But for her to know that he saw all the pain that she was sitting in every day and kind of bringing him back down to that place of that pain, that was pretty profound for both of us, really.
Mhm. Yeah, because you think about suicide from the perspective, well, it's a sin. It's like,
Yeah,
well, who tells you it's a sin?
right.
So that's conditioning. And then if people say, oh yeah, it's like conditioning. But that's not how spirit is.
Right. I think it's conditioning out of fear.
Mhm.
I think that's the underlying emotion that feeds that conditioning. But when I've spoken with Divine Mother about suicide, there's nothing but love there.
Right. Right. There's a book I read a long time ago. I think it's called Your Soul's Purpose. But he goes through the book and he has, if I remember correctly, he has a psychic medium. Can't remember who else he had, but he had like a team pulled together so he could hear all the different perspectives from the person who had passed away,
Mm,
where they were coming from. And he did different situations, someone with an illness, someone who was abused, someone who had committed suicide, all these different. Basically, what it boils down to is we're sitting around having coffee as a couple of souls, and we're saying, would you come back and be my evil mother? Because I want to learn all of these things. Or would you come back and commit suicide this life because I want to learn all of these things? And so the two souls, or the different souls that they were pulling in, kind of gave their perspective about, why the soul came in to learn these things or what they learned. And it is all about, we're here to learn different things. And it is really interesting that he pulled this book together and just kind of, it gives you a lot more to think about. It's like, oh, they didn't commit suicide because they don't love me. They didn't commit, for it was for something about their soul's growth, as well as for all the people around them. Because it's like, yeah, let's do that. I love you so much. It'll be great. Right. It's like, and the people that have been like abused as children, it's like horrific. We're murdered. But you think about all of those things. That's the human side that we're looking at, not the soul, not the way the soul is seen.
Right. Well, and I think sometimes too, when someone comes to you and says, I'm done living, I'm in pain, I'm in physical pain, emotional pain, I'm done.
Yeah.
Can you love them enough to say, I get it, and I love you, and I'm not going to be selfish and say, no, you can't do that because that'll hurt me.
Right.
If you really love that person, can you love them enough to let them go?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And support whatever their decision is.
Yeah. That's tricky. Linda went on to say her son, Nick, who I'm pretty sure we might have looked at last time, passed in 2015. He was very fair and really blonde. Mike had the same look, very fair and very blonde. I often wonder if there was a connection. Have they met each other in the spirit world?
What's that last part? Have they met or
Have they
chatted?
met each other in the spirit world?
It feels like more than met.
It does like to me too.
Um, if it wasn't like a reincarnation, it was something very close to that.
Or almost like Mike was a spirit guide for Nick or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that same energy is running through the two of them. Yeah, I feel that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, Sue, anything else? Oh, I do want to share one other story. I don't know that anybody else is going to be coming on and requesting, but I wanted to share one last story, which is about asking the angels for help.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter, God bless her, was trying to get from New York to Boston. And the best way for her to do that and get to school for class on time was to take a 5 o'clock in the morning metro to get to the Amtrak to get to the. So she happened to text us at like 2:30 and she's like, I'm on my way. 2:30 in the morning. I'm on my way. And my mommy senses are going, ah. She's by herself walking in New York City, 2:30 in, well, 4:30 for her in the morning. And I'm here across the country. Not that I could do anything, but I was just like triggered. And at one point she goes, so she's in Penn Station. She goes, so I'm going to go to the bathroom and, I'll call you when I get to Boston. I said, no, you're going to call me when you get out of the bathroom. Not that I could do anything. But I went, okay, I can't be there, but I'm going to ask the angels if they will assist her and keep an eye on her. So I asked Michael and I asked Raphael. And then, of course, there were other earth angels that popped in with that as well. But I envisioned them, one on each side, walking her through Penn Station. And then I also saw a dragon come in, and I thought, they've got it. And with that, I was able to go, okay, Mama, calm down, because you've asked the angels to support her and keep her safe. They've promised you that they will. And they did. But I think we don't often enough ask the angels for support, and they're right there willing to support.
Yeah. Yeah. That reminds me of a story about someone who, and I don't know if it was them that called on the angels or someone else for them, but walking in a not pleasant area for this, and I don't even remember if it was a male or female, it doesn't matter. And they walked through this, let's say it's a street, no problems, even though there was different, clearly, people that don't have your best interest in mind surrounding them. And I don't know how it ended up to find this out, but it's like, well, why didn't you attack that person? It's like, well, didn't you see those two big guys with them? And it was the angels. So it's like, yes, absolutely. You can call on the angels for yourself or for someone else. And as soon as you said that, I see this white light. Now, I saw it like almost like she's on a train and there's this white light that's going down the train tracks with her. That's what I saw when you were telling the story. Just like a white bubble of protection.
Yeah. And what I was envisioning, by the time I knew she was on a train, I was envisioning her sitting there and this energy next to her, so that if somebody wanted to come sit with her, it'd be like, I'm sorry, the seat's taken, you know?
And they very well may have seen somebody around her. Who knows?
Right. And I don't even know if she was sitting by herself. They might have said to some young lady or some nice man, why don't you go sit over there?
Yeah.
She would sit next to her, and then who knows? But it was such a comfort to me in the middle of the night from across the country to truly feel like the angels had her.
Ask the angels, invite them into your day, invite them into your task, ask them to watch over your loved ones.
Yeah.
Especially on travels like that.
I have a particular angel that travels with me on planes. His name is Jimmy. And he showed up on, we've got a couple minutes here, but I was walking through the airport. And as I'm walking, my eye is just being drawn up to along the ceiling. And I'm seeing this row of angels. And I was like, why are there angels here? Why are there angels here? And I got on the plane and I could see this angel. And I said, to myself, but what are you called? And he said, Jimmy. Well, Jimmy has been with me on so many flights. So has Michael, actually. But Jimmy is the one, and he has a sense of humor. He's actually a very funny angel. And he will like scoot out of the way when the cart's coming, and stuff like that. And I'll see him up with other people on the plane. It's just kind of fascinating, but he is consistently there. So yes, call in the angels. The other time that Michael in particular has been really helpful on planes is when there's turbulence. Because when there's turbulence, I immediately go into meditation and I immediately ask in Michael, and I watch him as he goes out and he's like in front of the plane and he's like calming the air currents or whatever it is that makes turbulence. But call on them, friends. They're there for us.
Yeah. Yeah, ask them to be your co-pilot when you're taking a drive, whether you're going down to the post office or whether you're driving cross country.
Yes, ask them to be with your doctors. If you're going in for surgery, ask them to please be there supporting your doctors and your nurses to help take care of you. It's amazing where all they'll go for you.
Yeah. That reminds me of, this was probably 10 years ago. This woman I knew was she was having surgery, and I want to say that it was brain surgery. And the deck that I was using at that time, and I was having a class, it was a small class, but a couple of people knew her. And I ended up pulling a card on her, but it was, no, I didn't pull a card, but it was the card from the deck so I could explain it to them. It was, there was a deck and a card in the deck where you can see somebody on an operating table and the doctors are all around. And the color that's behind you, the limer green color that's on your leaves, it's kind of like that color. It's like a fluorescent green. And I always see that as Archangel Raphael. And it's like I could see all of these colors, this fluorescent green around the doctors, around the scalpel, around the nurses, around everything that they were doing. And it was so cool because it like instantly gave everybody like a calmness. Instead of being worried, it's like, oh my gosh, she's in surgery. It's like, well, no, let's envision or just let the angels tell us what's really going on.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
They've got this.
that's right, they do.
Well, friends, thank you for being here, Sally, Linda in particular. And I don't know if anybody was else on, or if we only did the two, but so thank you, ladies, for being here. And Sue Broome, thank you so much for today. So friends, we do this once a month. It's always the second Monday of the month. And Sue always tells us what it is.
October 14.
October 14. There we go. I hope you all come back, and we'll see you all soon. Take good care and God bless. Bye, y'all.